Okay, so just a minute. Fine. So Special Protection Group, SPG, right? So it is a special force of Central Armed Police Forces, and its responsibility is to provide the security to Prime Minister of India and the members of their immediate family, right? You know, Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister, so his immediate family is Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, and Priyanka Gandhi. So that was the case you can consider. They were having this particular security, right? Then in this particular case, fine. So one more thing, wherever they are in the world, right? So this is a case of kind consideration, right? So wherever they are in the world. But anyway, so SPG was formed in 1988. 1988. मग त्याच्या अगोदर भारताच्या पंतप्रधानांची सुरक्षा नव्हती का? होती. So it was looked up by the Delhi Police Special Security Task. Right? So there was a special security task or the special task force of Delhi Police who was looking prior to 1988 the security of the Prime Minister of India. Right? So SPG is to provide the security only to the Prime Minister of India and their immediate family members. Right? So that would be the case we can consider, deciding them within the. Now, earlier it was used to provide the security to former prime ministers as well. Right? So in 2019, what I said, the security of these three people, right? One more name I can add, along with Manmohan Singh Ji's security that had been removed. So that doesn't mean it is only for these four people. In fact, it is for everyone, right? So the SPG have withdrawn from the security of the former prime ministers, right, and the former prime minister's immediate family members, but they have provided Z security, right? So that would be the case you can consider. Anyway, now this point had been a question of debate. So, as I said earlier, or prior to 1988, it was a job of it was a responsibility of special task force of Delhi Police. You can consider, but you know, after assassination of the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, the review had been taken of the security of the prime ministers, and it was decided to entrust the security of the Prime Minister of India by a special group, right, which will be always under a direct control to a designated officer. So it will be having a special officer, right, and having a special task force, right, so to provide the immediate security to the Prime Minister of India, both in Delhi as well as outside Delhi. So wherever our Prime Minister, right, or the Prime Minister of India is, everywhere you will be seeing out, right? You can always see around the Prime Minister 7-8 officers, right, who officers wear a black sunglasses and Western suit, right, or the Western formal dress you can consider. Fine. Sometimes they can wear the safaris, right? Safari dress. So that would be the case, right? And now that is being considered, and therefore SPG had established. So it came into existence, particularly in, I can consider, April 1988. Fine. So it had a joint director. Right, as I said, it would be always under a direct control of a designated officer. So what is that designated officer? So at that time it had a joint director. Fine. So you can consider it. Fine. Now the intelligence bureau, right, of the state, as well as the intelligence bureau and the police from the state and union territory, is always concerned, right, for the coordination, or it is always responsible for the coordination, collection and dissemination of the intelligence threats affecting VIP security. Fine. So SPG is responsible for providing physical security arrangements for the prime minister wherever in any of the state or in any of the union territories. Right. So at that time, they will be always receiving the you can consider, right, by their special by their security guard, own security guards, right. That would be the case you can consider. But we cannot say that by these only, because okay, I will tell you, I have read in one of the books, I think probably it is an autobiography. She was known to that particular point, right? She had supposed she will be killed after or very soon by the bodyguards, right? So that was the case. But she said every time she said that no, I have to. Yes, that was the actual cause. Operation Blue Star was the cause to a threat to her life, right? So at that time the intelligence has also warned her, but she said no, no, I have to believe in my security guards, otherwise wrong message will go to the nation, right? So that was the case. Fine. Anyway, if someone wants, no, I will just say by her bodyguards, right? See, once you bodyguard, you have no religion, or you have no caste or any kind of other designations, right? Though we think that, or uh, mm, we have what you can perception that Sikh bodyguards, right? So at the purpose of analysis, you can consider it, but simply for me, they were only the bodyguards or her own bodyguards. That's fine. So SPG formed in April 1988. So I was talking about the support, right, or the coordination, collection, and dissemination, right. Whenever a prime minister will be going from that particular state, or state's police or union territories police, right. So that is because it is the responsibility of the SPG, right. Now, if you consider, so SPG was constituted and trained specially to provide the protection to prime minister, uh, especially in view of the threats received, right, to Rajiv Gandhi, right. So there were threats from several sources that he might be killed, right. And for that purpose, this particular had been uh, established, right. So uh, that would be the case you can consider. Fine. Now, if you consider the amendment, right, amendment bill, which is called SPG amendment bill in 2019, right, and according to that, the right, so SPG amendment bill 2019, right. So according to this, which reduced, I will write the SPG cover to only Prime Minister of India. Also, the ex-prime ministers and his family will be covered, but only for the 5 years, right? So, Dr. Manmohan Singh had completed his 5 years being ex-prime minister. So his cover has also removed by SPG. No doubt, Jared Amendment Bill 2019 is fine. Now, so what about the constituents, right? So the personnel in, always keep in mind, personnel in SPG will be from Central Armed Police Forces and Railway Protection Force. Railway Protection Force, right? But there are IPS officers also. There are IPS officers in SPG. So irrespective of the officer rank, all other will be from Central Armed Police Forces or from Railway Protection Force. And the officers of SPG, there are officers in SPG. So all officers of SPG. Right. So whatever officer you will see in SPG will be from IPS or CRPF. Right. That means what I mean, no officer will be recruited or inducted into SPG from Central Armed Police Forces and from Railway Protection Force. Right. If SPG containing any of the officer, he must be belonging to IPS or the CRPF. Fine. So that would be the case. You can always consider as the formation or the group of SPG. Right. If anybody wants, if it is clear, first let me know whether it is clear or not. If you want, you can. Otherwise, I will go to the next page. That's fine. Thank you. You can have the screenshot. Okay, I got the message. Yes, that's fine. If it is clear to one, so by and large, it is clear to everyone. Okay, go to the next. Now see, who is the executor of this one? Right. So there is a director general. Right. So executive, or as I said, the specially designated officer, and that is the director general. Director. No. NDA exam is only to enter into Indian Air Force, Indian Army, or Indian Navy. That's it. Right. But giving NDA will definitely make you prepared for probably for all other subsequent competitive examinations, whether it is CRPF, whether it is Indo-Tibetan, whether it is for BSF, right, whether it is for SRPF, whether it is for the Central Armed Police Forces, whether it is for the Central Industrial Police Forces, or the security forces. Fine. So that would be the cases. Director General, right, which is always a cabinet secretary you can consider. Fine. Now, SPG is always having 4 different kinds of categories, right? So no doubt operations have to carry out, training have to carry out, collection of intelligence, right, and debugging or decoding it have to carry out, and administration have to be carried out, right. So if you consider the operations taken by SPG, so they always look after the actual protection duties, right. And in the operation branch, there are some of the components like the communication wing, technical wing, and transport wing, right, which will be always associated, which will be always coordinated to each other, right, so that the smooth conduct of the physical security of the Prime Minister of India will be performed. Fine. So here you can have the first section as operations. Fine. Operations. So actual protection duties. It looks after or looks towards actual protection, right, actual protection duties. Fine. So here they will be having all the branches. So again within this, right, they will be having different wings. Then next one is of training. Then it a part of training. So what is the great deal of training, right? So the training will deal with the training of the personnel on a continuous basis. That is always essential. See, fitness of these is the prime motto. Always keep in mind. They must be fit, right? Or the fittest of the fit you want in this SPG. Fine, because this is a very, very limited group, right? If you consider 7, 8 people surrounded by Prime Minister of India, right? So one team is more than sufficient, right? 24 SPGs if you have for a day, so 8 hours, fine. So that could be the thing you can consider. Hello, Veerbhadra. Fine. So that you will be always considering. So training, it deals, right? Training deals with the training of personnel on continuous basis. Fine. So SPG training is always imparting a physical efficiency, right? Maskmanship, right? And the anti-sabotage checks, right? So imparts what the training imparts. Very first thing, it imparts physical efficiency. Then anti-sabotage checks. Anti-sabotage checks. Right. Then communication and other operative aspects. Communication and other operative aspects. Right. So these are always connected with close protection drills and having been prepared for VVIP security, right? So see, their main, as I said, main motive is maintaining a high level of physical fitness, right, and a fine tuning of the operational skills. So these are the very two things which are very, very essential for SPGs. Fine. Now, this program is constantly reviewed and updated to the new techniques or the new skills. And obviously, the next one you can consider here is So after operations training, they will be always looking for intelligence and the tours. Intelligence and tours. Right. So while going on any tour, right, or before going to any tour, IB, right, the intelligence bureau and SPG is always collecting the information or the intelligence, right, in concern of the threat assessments. So threat assessments are always being done. Right? Some internal intelligence pertaining to that particular personnel, right, or the verification and character of the antecedents to us, or some of the other allied jobs will be always there. And the last one is administration. So there is no need to go into that particular. So administration will be always dealing with, right, other parts. Fine. So as I said, they will be always wearing a Western style formal business suit with a dark sunglasses, right? So their sunglasses are always encrypted by a two-way communication. So you will be always seeing something there in their head, in their ear, right? So that is a two-way encrypted communication. Or they are having a earpieces. Always they are always equipped with the handguns, right? So that would be the case which we can consider. Sometimes they can use the safari suits as well. Fine. So that you can consider about their what I can consider uniform. Fine. That is a case. Now, see, instead of saying from my side, I will suggest you to see any of the convoy of Prime Minister of India, right, where you will be finding out a motorcade, right, that is called Prime Minister's motorcade, which will be comprising a fleet of vehicles, convoy. So what that fleet of vehicles is consisting of, there will be at least 3 armored BMW 7 Series sedans, 2 armored Range Rovers, right? So BMW Series 7 Series Range Rovers, then 8 to 10 BMW X5, right? There will be 6 Toyota Fortuners or Land Cruisers, at least 2 Mercedes-Benz ambulance, right? And there is a Tata Safaris ACM, right? So you can always consider this particular case. So that BMW 760 is of very high security, right? So it is a customized armored variant standard, fine. So it's a then Range Rover, right? BMW X5 plus some Toyota Fortuner, Toyota Land Cruiser, and the Mercedes-Benz ambulance, and then Tata Safari Stormy, right? So that would be the case. Even in air transport as well, right? So Air India One, if you have seen what kind of aircraft is being used by Prime Minister of India, right? No doubt that will be used. That is also being used by the President and Vice President, right, of India. Then the helicopters, so Mi-17, right, is being mostly used. I think once a while, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was going to INS Vikramaditya, so at that time Indian Navy had used the Sikorsky SH-3 Sea King नावाचा एक helicopter है. So Sikorsky SH-3 Sea King. So anyway, so these are the, I think will be coming across all these, right, when we will consider the aircrafts or the modern weapon equipments and the aircrafts, right? So that would be the case you will be always considering. So I think this is more than sufficient for SPG, fine. So always एक सगळ्यात महत्त्वाचा विषय right? Anybody can write, right? Or most of these may be writing, right? As far as the securities are concerned. But those who are part of SPG, right? Any time in a life, once upon a time in a life, right? They are barred. They are barred to write any book, a letter, or any other document. So they cannot write, right? आज उद्या कधीच कधीच नाही. So they have no right to write anything what they have faced. Right? नाहीतर बरेच सेक्रेटरीज वगैरे आत्मकथा लिहितात, right? किंवा एखादं पुस्तक लिहितात. Right? So such kind of writing permissions are not there to the SPGs. Right? So those who are being part of SPG will never be allowed to write anything. Right? Even they cannot write letter, right? Or any other kind of document. So that is what SPG. Now, probably they will be considering the first one. See, not only Maharashtra is having, right? So this is for police, their own commandos, but most of the states are nowadays having their own commandos from their state police, right? So force one, it is nothing but a specialized counter-terrorism unit, a specialized counter-terrorism unit of Mumbai police particularly. So it is always to guard the Mumbai metropolitan area, right? So it is one of the largest metropolitan area in the world, right? So to guard it or to provide security to this metropolitan area, government of Maharashtra, on the lines of national security guards, that is NSG, decided to go for the commando force, right? And the name of that had it given as a Force One. So it was formed by Maharashtra police. Fine. So what had happened in 2008 Mumbai terror attacks. So by considering that one, it is being always considered, right? So I think when Jain Patil was the Home Minister of Maharashtra, so at that time this Force One has established. Fine. So at that time, I think Ashok Chavan was the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Right. So the foundation of the Force One is in that one. So where their headquarters is? Their headquarters is in Mumbai. Fine. So, and what are their primary tasks? So their task is, right. So primary task is to protect, right? Is to protect the Maharashtra legislature, and as well as several politicians within the state. Right. So that is the case you can consider. See, those who are the young volunteers from Maharashtra police, right, who are already trained or basic trained, those who are already having a basic training of the Maharashtra police, right? So they will be volunteered for it, and the age limit for this is 28 years old, right? So if you are of 28 years old, and in between, let's say 35 years for the officers, right, at the most, but that is for the officers, right? But up to 28 years old, you can enter into the Force One, right? So that would be the case you will be always considering in this one, right? So 20 years and for officers 35 years for officers, right? So this is a case. Now in in the first batch around 3,000 volunteers were there. Among them only 260 have been selected, right? So and they have been trained at different places, right? So which you can consider. So every aspect of their had been done, right? So the first one had been trained by the police force of Mozambique, right? Mozambique. And apart from that, they have trained by the quick response teams, right? So you can always consider. And again, they are involved in the training by Railway Protection Force, right? Again, by Jammu and Kashmir Police Force. So they have influence on their training from all these police forces, right? So that these have been, right? That Shifuji. So Shifuji had also, I think, trained, or he had also some of the training sessions of this particular force one, right? So this is what we can consider in among the commandos, which you will be always considering, right? Okay, so I think now we are approaching to the end of the session. Okay. So is there anything which you would like to ask? No, I'm aware. Okay. So what I should do? Shall I share the screen? By taking, okay, anyway, I will take its photographs and okay, if it is clear, what I should do, it is clear. Okay, fine. So you can have, if you want to have the screenshot. Shall I go back to the earlier page? Thank you, Akshay. Someone is asking about ninja. Do you know what is ninja commando? Anybody? Is there anyone who knows anything about, or at least one thing? Yes. Yes. What I was, yes, initially I wanted to just make you remember that today most of you will be you will be happy, right? Because most of your result has to come, right? So that would be the case. And Ninja Commando is a game, right? Run and gun video game. It's a video game, right? It's a very good kind of game, I guess, right?